Hey, everybody, coming at you with the much longer version of my review on Supergirl. As you know, I like to process movies, talk about movies, own a lot of movies, own 4,000 movies, actually. So I just want a place where I can put out my thoughts and have thoughts with you and dialogue with you. So if you're interested, this is the much longer version. If you just want like the ins and outs of what I thought, an overview, then I do a minute version as well. So here we go. Let's talk about Supergirl. Again, trying to watch 100 movies this year, so this one was definitely on my radar for years. I am obviously long term DC fan from childhood, from Super Friends. Green Lantern is my favorite, so I'm really looking forward to the Lanterns TV show and everything. And I will still stand beside Green Lantern the movie, Greg Berlanti. Uh, it wasn't as bad as everybody said it was. It was just overstuffed with villains, Hector Hammond and Sinestro, when they should have just done an Emerald Dawn storylines. If you're a DC fan, you know what I'm talking about. But for what it did to introduce comic book fans to a space superhero movie before Guardians of the Galaxy, before all that, we've got to look at it as revolutionary. And Green Lantern has not deserved to sit in DC prison for as long as Green Lantern has served in DC prison. So thankful for Guy Gardner, even though I'm waiting for the moment in these movies where we get to the great comic book moment when Batman lays Green Lantern Guy Gardner out with a punch. But obviously, Lanterns I'm excited about because it's going to introduce us to a different Hal Jordan. John Stewart's going to have his day. Hopefully, the Green Lantern Corps, and we can see people like Chip and Boudica. Very excited. So, that being said, this also being set in space would have been a great vehicle, I think, to have the Lantern stop by, or hopefully some kind of connective tissue that's going to go forward, especially with Lobo. I think Lobo, the way that Lobo is introduced in this, would be a great kind of foil for the Lanterns, and what seems to be a space murder mystery, space western. Lobo popping up to be the antithesis of the Lantern Corps would be great. So James Gunn, if you're listening to this, I love your stuff. I love the books that you're taking on. Lobo and the Lanterns, what do we think? And also, how does one get to go watch the Lanterns be filmed? I mean, I don't know what kind of cred I have. I can show you that I own all of the Green Lantern books. I have a Green Lantern poster with hanging in my room. I mean, toys. I don't know. The secret decoder ring. I could quote the oath. Anyway, that being said, let's get to Supergirl and how I can see this relating to the bigger themes of the DCU and why I liked Supergirl. I would give Supergirl a B for a couple reasons. First of all, like I said in the short version, Millie Alcock, um, incredible. Sorry, I had to sneeze again. Eve Ridley, incredible. The two of them together in a partnership, the emotional core of the story was well placed in their hands. A lot of talent there, a lot of effortlessness that I think went into the roles. I think they really got the emotional feel of the characters. Um, Kind of the difference between the two of them. Kara being closed off to the world, finding isolation, not wanting to exist within people, just losing herself and fighting and drinking. And Ruthie on her own quest, right, for vengeance. By the way, there would be probably spoilers and all this, so you probably want to tune out if you haven't seen it yet. But if you don't care, we're going forward. I think that's interesting as well. Now, what I'd say about that is the reason I would probably give this a B is I really feel like from the original books, if you've read the Tom King series, which is great, go out, pick it up, read it. There's a couple things that I thought were missing from this. So, for one, the color palette. Tom King's book is so beautiful. There's purples, there's blues, there's these, it's almost a rainbow of colors. And I really think I saw that once when she was floating out in space in front of the nebula. I was like, oh, the colors are going to be here. And the color scheme just wasn't there. And I don't know if it was not being an IMAX or whatnot, but the sound seemed really muted. Like the soundtrack, so maybe just some technical things I felt made the movie feel really muted and kind of bleak. Not as much fun as, say, Superman, which is a lot of bright colors. And I don't know, something to think about with future space issues and so forth. So, but again, I loved Millie Alcock's acting. I love um, all the acting. Jason Momoa coming in, I would say, uh, for what it was, and I read the notes that I think this Lobo was originally supposed to be in the book too. He was having fun, and I appreciated that. He was a fun character. I love Lobo. Um, I like with Masters of the Universe, when I reviewed Masters of the Universe, I loved how much fun Jason Momoa was having. You could see he was just letting go, just having so much fun. The inner child of him coming out. Um, that being said, again, spoiler alert, I don't like the way that he was necessarily pigeoned in to save the day when this was Supergirl's movie. He basically replaced Comet the horse, right? And Supergirl's whole world. So I didn't necessarily think that was a good choice. Um, if you're going to have her lead the vehicle and what they're building up to, with her finding herself, finding her strength, finding her ability to care and take on the issues of the world. But other than that, I can see Lobo going forward is going to be fun if they keep playing him through just pop up in random episodes, different space movies. It'll be great, good fun. But I didn't like that. I felt like it was missing the arc that the comic book had. Like there's this really emotional arc of it's told from Ruthie's perspective in the book, so obviously that's going to be different too. Now this is Kara's perspective, but there's this arc of Supergirl not wanting this and not wanting to do this, and every planet they visit and every kind of problem they encounter opens up her heart more, her humanity more, and bonds her more with Ruthie. And I kind of miss that arc because I feel like it was very rushed. Like they weren't together, they weren't understanding each other, and boom, now we're together. Now we understand each other. Now we want to die for each other, protect each other. I think, and if I was writing it, I don't know, again, I would have done more with the bus because the space bus is always fun. It's one of my favorite parts of the book too. It's comic relief, right? So if you're looking for just silliness and a way to segments between planets, bring them back to the bus. So, get on the bus, have some random adventures on the bus where we're like, oh, they're back on the bus. That Seth Rogen cameo, top notch. Then go to a planet, witness kind of the chaos of that planet, understand, come closer together as Kara and Ruthie get back on that bus. And we're like, oh man, they're back on the bus again. And silliness on the bus. And each time kind of get darker and deeper until you get to that struggle on the bus. Struggle bus? I don't know. And so the bus also loses its comedy focus as well. So we lose kind of that whimsy into everything is really serious. Another thing I missed, again, spoiler on this, I missed the genocide planet. I think that at its heart was the emotional gut punch of the book for me. Was it dealt with race issues and it really made Krem the villain. Like my biggest concern in this was as a book, I was like, how are you going to make Krem difficult as a villain? Because he really pops in and out of the book. But that moment where you realize that he was willing to slaughter an entire race of people on this planet because of the color of their skin, to hold it over the other people and how they were keeping that as a secret and how that really awakened Kara up to the problems of the universe and what she could do to help would have been a great segue. Also, it goes into that light dark issue between her and Clark, right? The idea that Clark has eternal optimism, Superman, and she kind of lives in cynicism. And we see this nature versus nurture argument throughout the piece, and I think that would have been great, right? The idea. Now, again, spoiler alert, I will say I did like the switch at the end. I like the idea that she was the one who saved Ruthie from doing it and saving Ruthie's soul by taking it and absorbing it in herself. Because again, I think that's going to come up later within Superman and her relationship. Like Superman wouldn't do that. And that's going to be, should she be isolationist? How does she hold this grief? And that's really what the movie is too, is how do you hold grief? How do you process grief? I loved the scenes on Krypton. David Krumholtz, excellent job. Everybody in that's going to play big. I love the light dark aspect of her and Superman that I feel is going to play into the future. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a great chapter into the future. And I love the needle drop. Great job, James Gunn. Great job in fooling